we're not going to be a Babylon 5 podcast forever. We're going on to other things. So I'm going to have to do another 2-week sabbatical where I just write a song every day to get us stuff for the next thing. My own walkabout.
Sing about. There's got to be a better word.
Sing about. Yeah.
I'll
have a little sing about, an instrument about, a little bit of it, write a bit of podcast, bro.
Karen texts me and is just like, why is Mike on a sing about?
You Gotta Check This Out was our last best hope for podcasting. It failed. But in the wake of Babylon 5 haters everywhere, it became something greater. Our last best hope for sharing key episodes from a seminal 90s sci-fi show for victory. The year is 2025. The podcast, You Gotta Check This Out.
Welcome back to the final episode of Season 3 of You Gotta Check This Out with Dre and Mike. Mike, also known as Slaytron all over the internet. Are you happy I finally remembered to introduce you, Mike?
You were right away. I mean, I always have to say, I'm the Mike all the time.
Do you think I'm talking about my microphone? Although I bet there are podcasts like that. Anyway, for those this is your first show. First off, why? Go watch Babylon 5 Season 3. Or listen to You Gotta Check This Out with Mike and Dre. But regardless, this is the show where we figure something from our childhood, our past, that we think you have to check out, and we are knee-deep in Babylon 5. Now, of course, it'd be way too much to ask you to watch 5 seasons, so we are picking out ultimate episodes in each season that we think you need to check out, and we are finally at the end of Season 3 with, honestly, one of the coolest episodes, Za'Ha'Dum, an amazing episode to check out, ending a very interesting season of You Got to Check This Out, Mike, because we have had guests on previous ones. It's just going to be you and I.
Yeah, I mean, I figured this time, screw those guys. We need to have a time with just you and me, Dre, to get this special episode out, because this might be the linchpin episode of linchpin episodes for the entire series, transforming over from Season 3 to Season 4, getting darker with these themes. I really enjoyed this episode.
Now, what we're going to do, we'll get you caught up. Ideal world, you're following along with us, so can only give you so much context. We're going to give you context to the last episode that we went over. It's going to be a little interesting because we have an episode where we don't think you need to check it out, but we do think you need to listen to our episode on Gray 17 is Missing, which was very recently. We've only had 2 episodes since then. A lot has gone on this season. We've had time travel. We've had wars start. We've had major victories. We got 2 episodes to go where a lot happened. So, Mike, previously on
Babylon 5.
We have episode 20, and The Rock cried out, "No hiding place." Fascinating episode where Lando, the major antagonist, works with his protagonist, G'Kar, to eliminate another major antagonist, Lord Reef. I feel for you, Mike, because I know he's one of your favorite characters. A very fascinating episode because it really was Lando lying to his best friend Veer to get this major plot going. And it's very, it's a heist movie, right? This was a double cross. Wait, this was a double cross. Wait, this was a double cross at the very end. It was enjoyable, but
the entire time, what Lando's doing is he's playing the heel here to not reveal what's going on to Veer, because he wants Veer to help luring G'Kar to Narn for capture. But what happens is he knows that Veer is going to be captured by Rafa's men, who are going to be able to interrogate Veer about it. So Veer gets captured in this, tortured by Rafa, and the entire reason that Lando said he didn't let Veer in on the whole plan was because he knows they have telepaths, and with telepaths around, if Veer knew the whole plan, it would get out to Rafa's people.
It is fascinating where telepaths are a weird blind spot in this universe, and it does come up later, and there's going to be discussion about that in this episode as well. I think the more duplicitous thing that Veer can rightly point out is that Lando knew all of this, but part of his plan was to let Veer get captured. And I did think this was a very interesting character study on Lando, because at the end, Veer is upset with him, and Lando has finally done something good. He's eliminated a war criminal. He's free. He's actually got G'Kar to work with him because he freed Narn for him. He did something good ubiquitously. And Veer's like, you still did it the wrong way. And I do agree on that. Like the morality thing, like doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, wrong things, all that back and forth.
Yeah, what he's doing is, like, ever since that scene at the very end of Season 2 when the angel was revealed and Lando didn't see, that seems to be like the initial turnaround for Lando. And throughout all of Season 3, he's been trying to step back from what he does before. But I think exactly what you're saying. This episode illustrates that he's still going about it the wrong way. Like his best friend on the series, that he turns him over, lets him get captured in order to do something good for the Nard and for the Centauri. So he's still working his way. I think actually in a later episode, I think I've pinpointed the exact moment where Lando truly has a change of heart, and that's not going to come till next season. So we'll get to that later.
Season 4 is fantastic, and we'll talk more Lando. He shows up organically in this episode. We also do have a very interesting side plot where a bunch of religious leaders from Earth managed to smuggle in important information up to the station. Captain Sheridan is getting too caught up in work, figure out how to beat the shadows, and we have an interesting moral episode because we literally do have like priests talking about like fearing the enemy and not giving into fear and thinking you can do nothing, and all that is setting the stage for an amazing next episode, Shadow Dancing. The Alliance, all of the non-aligned worlds actually come together to fight off the shadows. This builds off the next episode quite organically, which is, how do you fight the shadows? They come out of nowhere. They think they have a way to figure it out. They have a nice, fun set of things where they send Ivanova and Marcus out because isn't it great to have a romantic comedy moment in the middle of an important war? That's the only reason for it. They're like, this, you only have a 50% chance of coming back alive. We're going to have you scout the enemy so they don't know we're coming. Again, being the nitpicker, Mike, apologies. Like, we have drones in this universe. We have remote control ships. You didn't need to send your second in command to do it unless you were like, wouldn't it be cool if you talked to Marcus? Guess what it is? So we do love it. But we have a major fight against the shadows that they, win at what cost, right? They basically sent out a force twice as big, managed to beat the shadows on their own for the first time, everybody combined. But it was a surprise attack where they also still lost by attrition, but just like first major, everyone works together.
Yeah, well, didn't they figure out, you kind of skimmed over it when you're talking about Sheridan in the previous episode, but he put it together that the shadows were all kind of corralling all the refugees from different planets that they were fighting to one neutral zone area as a way to corral them and take them out all at once. So isn't this the one where they like confronted them knowing that's where they were going?
You noted in the Rock Right Out No Hiding Place, there's this interesting subplot, which is weird to read because one of the priests comes to Sheridan and is, you're taking on a lot, man. Where are you getting your extra help from? Don't you need a good woman? And you're like, yeah, but that also does very much play with a lot of, religious kind of comments, etc. And what I will stress in Shadow Dancing, I really want to bring this up. It was really odd to notice is like, Delenn and Sheridan really get turned on over weapons. So like a comment on a previous episode, NBB brought up that like, Sheridan and Delenn are very chaste. Like, this is a very chaste show. He like kisses her on her hand. But when Delenn's like, here are some ships, he's, aw, hell yeah. And they get in this major battle that's supposed to be sad and sad music. And then at the very end, they're still embracing. And it's just like, do Delenn and Sheridan both get turned on by like military? And it kind of makes sense. Like, it kind of makes sense that
they're chaste in other ways. They got to make up for it. It's like, you gotta shove that somewhere. And it comes into a battle lust for them.
They absolutely do. Just watch that on 2 episodes. Now in Shadow Dancing, we actually get the resolution to the walkabout subplot. What I would say, Mike, this is fascinating to me. We've talked about this multiple times this season. So walkabout is Dr. Franklin has a drug problem. He realizes he has to get clean. He says he's going to go on walkabout. And this is a real thing, like Aborigines on Earth way back in the day, like Australia. This is a thing. But like Franklin, Jehovah's Witness style, just tells everybody about it to the point that, on the podcast, you're like, this is really weird. So Franklin's going on a walkabout, just you walk around to find yourself. He ends up getting stabbed trying to do the...
I love how you put that because he literally finds himself.
But I mean, they keep saying it, so it's funny. It's a very Chekhov's gun because he keeps saying it to people, and people are like, well, yeah, it's like a metaphorical thing, right? But what ends up happening is he is walking around in the slums of Babylon 5. He gets stabbed. He's likely hallucinating, and he, meets himself. And it himself just gives him the tough love, which is basically, you're talented, but you run from everything, and you find excuses to run from everything, including now where you're dying instead of dealing with your problem, which I absolutely loved. And I thought it was a great resolution, actually, to the walkabout and stim plot. And what I will give you is, my one complaint is like, dear God, if I have to hear walkabout one more stupid time in this plot, Franklin, his doppelganger, his hallucination one, is for fuck's sake, shut up about walkabout. And I was like, you know what? This paid off nicely. So I will actually say the walkabout subplot worked well and had a really good resolution where Franklin like almost gets killed, realizes he's been running, says, I'm not going to run anymore, and manages to get back. And then the end of the episode is him, in recovery, but in like a wheelchair, telling everybody what to do.
Yeah, it's like Walkabout seems to be, well, get out, quit your job for a while, hit on a bunch of dancers, get it on with some of them, don't get it on with some of the other ones, meet yourself, hallucinate a bit, and you're back to work.
It's not, I will say it is not a horrible thing to say, hey, you probably just need some time off, especially to the workaholic that is literally. Oh my God,
it was clear that from his very first appearance that they just piled it on as to how overworked Franklin was and how it was all coming from his self-pressure. They talked about his dad coming on for a while, of how his relationship with his dad wasn't working out in the military and how he's always trying to escape from that life some way. It's interesting how he's the one that also had to escape from kind of the prison that he made for himself in MedLab. So it's neat to see him getting out of it. And I'll be looking forward to seeing how he approaches everything for the rest of the series. Because to my knowledge, I think he's quit stims after this, and the Walkabout works for his character.
Yeah, like I said, it wraps up nicely, and that is the good thing. There is J. Michael Straczynski does a lot of the plant and payoff, Chekhov's gun payoff, and it works really well there. And then the last thing that happens, super minor because it's going to lead us straight into our next episode with no interruptions, right, Mike, is Anna Sheridan returns, and we do get
2 interruptions. Number one, I did confirm that it is Anna pronounced. It's only Delenn that with her weird accent that had me pronouncing it Anna, which probably rubbed off on you a little bit.
Well, I'm Team Delenn, right? If we're talking Delenn versus Anna, I'm Team Delenn. So thank you. Appreciate that. So we don't go the whole.
And the second reason, it is now time for the Talia Winters memory quiz that I'm throwing on you instead of our guest this week, Dre. Are you ready for the quiz?
But we don't have a guest, so we don't have a quiz, right? Clearly I know everything about.
I'm the quiz master, and I need a quizzy. You are the quizzy this time.
All right, bring it on.
All right. So the first category is Forward to the Past. The episode begins with flashbacks that ends with Sheridan confronting Morden. What episode of Babylon 5 is that scene from?
We podcasted on this. It's in the Shadow of Za'Ha'Dum, right?
That's right. Dang, Shadow of Za'Ha'Dum episode. Correct. All right, 1 for 1. Question 2, category is I'll be watching you.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to this.
According to Delenn, what will be revealed after she watches Sheridan sleep for 3 nights?
Isn't it their true self, and then they have the opportunity? This is a mating ritual for Minbari.
Very close with true self. I'll give you one more guess at it. I've got to be a little harder on you because you are the Babylon 5 expert here.
Their soul, true soul, maybe?
I'll give you half credit. It's his true face.
True face. All right, fair enough.
All right, so question the third, category, Royal Matters. What title on the royal court was given to Lando?
This is wild. I don't know, because he said he's got an appointment to the royal court. I'm just going to have to call him Olga. I don't know on this one. That's wild.
It's Advisor on Matters of Planetary Security. It's a bullshit job title given
to
by
Cartesian. That is so on the title, by the way, for the United States thing of, right, we say security when we need war. And he even says it in that scene, which we'll get to that, right, where he legit is, they just want me because, I'm starting a bunch of wars and they're scared of me.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so that plays right into what Cartesia wants from him. All right, 4th question, category, Nefarious Alignments. Which non-aligned race's ambassador delivered the bombs to Jakar?
Oh, that was, non-aligned races.
One of the non-aligned races.
Wow, nice. Give me 1 sec. Is it Pak Maroth?
No, close. It's the Game.
Or Game. Triple H, of course. He.
All right, Dre, your 5th question for the quiz today. Category, Garibaldi's Code. Because if there's a code that Garibaldi has in an episode,
can I try and get a bonus point if I can guess it before you ask it?
Yes, you can. Let's do this. Go ahead. What was the answer to my Garibaldi's Code question without getting the question?
They talk about the weather, and he talks about the weather, I want to say, in New York.
Yes, he does. Now, what exactly is going on in New York? What is the weather in New York?
Isn't it snowing?
It's snowing. You got that question. So I will give you an offer for a second bonus point.
Oh, all right. Taking it immediately because I'm doing too bad to not. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and this is an easier, so I'm going to throw you a softball here. What was the significance of the code phrase? What did it signal in the plot?
Garibaldi talking about the weather signified that he had loaded the nukes from the game onto the White Star.
Perfect. You have redeemed yourself for anything you got wrong this quiz. I'm just going to say 5 out of 5. Dre, you are still proving yourself the Babylon 5 master.
I'll take it. I don't know if I agree. We were talking pre-show about a leaderboard, and what I'm looking forward to about that is then you and I can fight about the stats in the leaderboard, which you know me, nerd numbers. I love fighting about stats.
The other thing is this means that you have to surprise me with the quiz before we're through Babylon 5 sometime. So I'm going to put that challenge to you right away so I can get on the board too.
This is a fun one. Yeah. So, all right. Anyway, we get to go on proper, and man, lots of snarky comments, lots of snarky notes, but from both of us.
Yeah, I love the to-be description of this episode. For everything that happens, they described one scene. The description of to-be is Lando's political status changes. That's the entire description of this episode. And that's like the smallest thing that happens in one scene.
So to put this episode in context.
And now, Dre explains.
This is an amazing episode. And what I really have to think about is that era, right? Of week-to-week television with big, major breaks in the summer, right? And to have thought of watching this episode live the first time. And that's an experience I can never enjoy. Or never feel without a time machine and a memory scanning thing from Men in Black. But what is interesting to me, what you just brought up, is JMS goes, we have been teasing, if you go to Za'Ha'Dum, we will die. That line has been said all over the place for the last 2 seasons. If the episode is titled Za'Ha'Dum, my audience is dumb. So he actually had the name withheld until it was going to air. In listening to the director's commentary, part of it could be JMS's neurodivergence. And I do keep bringing that up because I do think it's important. He brings it up in his book, Becoming Superman. And it's fascinating because he's talking, he's being like, I named it the Icarus because of people's hubris. And I'm like, pretty on the nose, you don't need to describe it. But it's also him in the 90s, like late 90s, describing Babylon 5. And we're 30 years in the future, and that's par for the course. We're like, you don't need to describe episodic TV. You don't need to describe why you name things this. We're all used to it. And it's like he was at the forefront of that. And then to put it even more, to just go, there is, of course, the season finale of Star Trek The Next Generation. I want to say season 3, where the Borg show up and Picard is Locutus. But of course, that ends on a cliffhanger. And then it turns out it was really because of contract negotiations, and it's a big nothing. This episode ends, we'll spoil it. We're going to talk it all, and you should watch it before listening to this episode. Yeah, this ends with Captain Sheridan dropping a nuke on the enemy's planet, killing himself and his body snatcher wife, and as far as we know, being dead. And so again, Locutus ends with what's going to happen. Tune in to watch. And this one, you're going to have to tune to see what happens next. I'm not going to leave any ambiguity, though. Do the Borg fire on the Federation? Does the Federation hit? Does Picard live? No, I'm going to answer that all right now. And then you're not going to tune in to find out what happens next. You're going to tune in to go like next chapter in the story.
Yeah, it's really interesting that like throughout the first 3 seasons, we've had Za'Ha'Dum built up as this big thing. Don't go to Za'Ha'Dum, you will die. And the shadows themselves seem like they're going to be the big bads for the entire series. And what we kind of find out in this episode, but then as the series goes on, it's like shadows are kind of relegated to almost a secondary villain after this season in favor of the Clark administration and Earth Force, and it takes them down.
Now we continue immediately from the previous episode. Glenn's being all weird, trying to look at Sheridan's face.
I'll be watching you.
It's true. That should be playing. That's 100% appropriate. Anyway, door opens. We find out basically that Anna Sheridan is on board. It's awesome because unlike Morden, who got in under the radar, like everybody knows, like we see a third-person POV, like the Doom movie, so we don't see her face. But someone comes onto the station. She's walking around. Everybody's being weird. So she knocks on John Sheridan's door. Delen's there watching him sleep. And she's high. And, you know, we do have the lame Kaiser Soze moment. She was holding a snow globe. She drops it. It crashes. We'll give you trope points, but I was being a nerd where I was like,
yeah, aren't those things made with plastic or
even the glass? It's really heavy. If you've ever dropped it wouldn't shatter. It would start cracking and
really
leaking.
Thick. Yeah.
But maybe future snow globes are weak. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, no, it gets a good TV effect.
So anyway, Anna Sheridan comes back. Everybody does recognize immediately, which I did appreciate, right? It's not a surprise. Everybody on board knows. And then Anna, like, Delen's, oh, I'm sorry, I'll leave. And I did love that Sheridan immediately was like, what the hell are you doing here? And the reason I bring that up is this is 100% an invasion of the Body Snatchers episode. And we do not even for one moment, if you were an astute audience member, give any credence to the fact that Sheridan doesn't know what's going on. Because Anna's like, is that how you react to your dead wife? How are you treating me this way? And he's, I thought you were dead. And he is never not suspicious of her this episode.
Well, this is the only scene, like the first scene. And I think it's because Bruce Boxleitner is playing more just the confusion, because this comes out of nowhere to him. This kind of upends his entire world. So during this first scene, you get to see just like him almost like crying out in frustration before he puts things together, even while us as the audience, like even from the first time I saw this, it was clear from the beginning that she was doing a doppelganger thing.
Yeah, she, as a note, this is Melissa Gilbert, who is Bruce Boxleitner's ex-wife, the voice of Batgirl.
It was current at the time, though, too. At the time they filmed this, they were husband and wife.
Well, that's why she's on the show, actually, because they got her at a reduced rate, you know. And that is the funny thing, you know, take a drink every time Dre says shoestring budget for Babylon 5. But, you know, we do on occasions, this episode included, get some just amazing guest actors who, you know, you're like, what are you doing here? You elevate it. In other episodes, you know, get day players that, you know, were acting on a commercial. And we're like, oh, it shows nothing personal. It's just that was the nature of the budget and television at the time. But Melissa Gilbert just really brings it. She's on the show. It's kind of funny, you know, we do have a George Lucas writing off the previous Anna Sheridan, including in flashbacks. And then we do get a little bit of a catch up for the audience who hasn't seen it, which is just to say, we find out that she was on a space exploration. She found the shadows. It's assumed that she died. And then what we do get is her immediately launching, you know, showing her hand too quickly of saying, oh, Delenn and them were lying to you. I can't believe they didn't tell you. If you come to Za'Ha'Dum with me, everything will be fine. So to your point, like we do have, Sheridan is never not suspicious because you're going to say, what are you doing here? Not I love you. But then he does show so many emotions so quickly. But the second he's just like, where did she go? And she's, oh, Delenn never told you all of this, right?
And now Mike explains.
Well, he gives her some credence too, even in this scene, because he first starts to doubt it. The first thing he does after this is goes and confronts Delenn. Did you really? Why didn't you tell me? And he's still in that initial confusion phase where he doesn't know what to think or what to expect. It's almost like he slowly starts to stabilize the more he talks to Franklin and everybody else about it. I mean, juxtapose that against in the Shadow of Za'Ha'Dum episode where, I mean, Sheridan went almost into madness trying to figure out what had happened to Anna with the shadows before. And this time it's like he's already gone through that once. So it's almost, I'm going through it again. I have to be smarter about it this time. And I think that's what stabilizes him halfway through this episode.
Yeah, we're talking the juxtapose. In the Shadow of Za'Ha'Dum, Garibaldi quits on him and says, you're out of control. In this episode, Sheridan goes up to Garibaldi and is, I want you to put a bunch of nukes on a plane and give me the keys and no questions asked. And he like looks at Garibaldi, like, you know, you can trust me. And Garibaldi says like, all right. So it's like, we see the difference where in both episodes, he's doing something that on its surface looks insane. And Garibaldi in one is absolutely not. I can't follow you here. And the other one, he goes, absolutely, I'll follow you. Speaking of that, we get a Chekhov's gun scene and an Ivanova scene that actually stick around for the whole episode. Shocker, plant and payoff, they work. Because Ivanova is meeting with Jakar. Jakar's like, FYI, to help you out, I got you some nukes. You'll be able to mine, you know, battlefields, which I do think is important because the previous episode, they fought the shadows. They end it with being like, we won, but holy cow, everything was going our way. We're going to have to find other ways to win. So it is important that the very next episode, they're like, cool, we're going to start thinking of other strategies to win. We've heard that Sheridan is an expert with mining asteroid fields, so he knows what he's doing. Yeah. So Jakar does that. It's a minor scene, but the good thing is, unlike being it shows up and disappears, that gets brought up multiple times.
Yeah, this is like a Chekhov's explosives on a 10 out of 10. This is like the best use of Chekhov's. I mean, I'm surprised that Bester's not behind it. It's such a Chekhov move.
Exactly. And to other key, Jakar's going to show up later. Ivanova's going to show up later. The nukes are going to, that's the key point, right? Like, it's not a character introduces a gun and vanishes for the rest of the episode like Zach does on Grey 17. Mm-hmm. All right, we get to great body snatcher scene. Anna's in med bay, thank you. And Franklin's watching her, and Sheridan's kind of watching in the next room. And she just keeps looking over and smiling at him, right? Like, it looks like she's supposed to be happy to be at the doctor, and it's supposed to be off-putting, right? It's great. It is played so great. And
it's like she doesn't know how to behave except other than just like, all right, just turn on some kind of charm towards Sheridan. It'll work just because of who we've made you to be.
And yeah, I appreciate that no one in the audience is going to be fooled. I'll give one minor nit. It is in this scene, which is Franklin comes up and he's everything looks good. It's all fine. And Sheridan is saying, what if it's her? If it's a trick, I'll take it out of someone's hide. My canon that I even put in our notes to each other is she's in the next room. And my belief for Sheridan from this point on in the episode is he knows he has to act. So even when we have him and Delenn just together, I think he is aware that he cannot take the act off for the rest of the episode because including, right, we bring in the shadow of Za'Ha'Dum, the previous episode where he saw the shadows, these invisible creatures following Morden around. Mm-hmm. It is very explicitly done where Anna Sheridan shows up. She is wearing a costume, her dress looks a lot like Morden. So Sheridan knows I can't trust that I am not being listened to for the rest of this episode, which is my belief, because the next scene is going to be him talking to Delenn. And you're right, he still seems to have some of the emotion there, but I think at this point he knows. And the one minor nit is Sheridan's, are you sure everything's fine? And Franklin says, oh, she does have some scarring on the back of her neck. It might be nothing, but I'll look into it. And this is one where I felt they had to spoon feed the audience. And JMS has done this in prior episodes where it's enough to know that we know something's not right with her. Sheridan's going to know it. Franklin's going to have to be the one that plays a little dumb so we don't give it all away to the audience in, scene 4.
Yeah. Franklin's always going to play that role where he's going to he's the scientific guy on the team that's going to take it from, okay, I'm not going to say she's not who she is no matter, what it seems like until I have medical proof of it. And even as soon as they have the scene, I think that's coming right up where he's comparing the neck scars on it. That's the point where you realize that, okay, it really is what you thought it is. She is a doppelganger going forward.
But Sheridan does talk to Delenn. I love this back and forth because I can't believe you two manipulated and betrayed me. And it's, I just raised my hand and was like, Kosh, the master manipulator. But my headcanon is, I do think Sheridan is still putting on a show here. He might be feeling the emotions, but I think he knows that he has to show that if he's going to get on a ship with Anna and have her not think he's a double agent, the act has to stay. So he's, maybe method acting or maybe think he's...
I don't know. I still, because who's he talking to? He's talking to Delenn, who internally, he still feels that he is cheating on Anna with emotionally in certain ways. Because it's been 5 years, so it's been a long time. But we saw how emotionally attached he is to that relationship and how tough it is to get into something with Delenn. So he brings up a lot of that. I trusted you. I allowed myself to come out. And there's this chance that you may have misled me. And we even get a scene in the next episode of spoilers for season 4, episode 1, where Delenn is going back in her mind almost the entire episode. Did I do that? Was I really trying to mislead him? I wasn't telling him certain things that I knew about, but it was for his own good. So I think he is onto something there where they did mislead him a little bit for their own goods. And this is the woman who he is replacing his ex-wife with. There's a lot going on there. And I think that JMS brings all of this to the table with these scenes, which is the only thing that really gives it credence that, okay, maybe it is a real thing because of these emotional stakes between these characters.
Yeah, and she does explicitly say, me and Kosh knew you shouldn't go to Za'Ha'Dum. We'll give the Vorlons the out, right? Because Kosh at any point could explain stuff, but he doesn't. We've had time travel where Sheridan has heard about Za'Ha'Dum as well from Delenn herself. So there's a lot around it. And what I did love in this scene is he asks her, if you had known that she was alive, because that's the crux is Delenn says, we knew about the Icarus and we couldn't tell you because we knew that if you knew, you'd do exactly what you did, right? What he did with Morden. Mm-hmm. You would go all out. You might hop on a ship. You might try and go to Za'Ha'Dum on your own. You might alert the shadows. You might trigger the war. We could not allow that to happen. And then she also gives herself an out, Delenn does, where she says, also, no one comes back from Za'Ha'Dum. She gives the game away, which we already knew, right? The only way Anna was going to come back from Za'Ha'Dum was if she's like a Morden, if she is an agent of the shadows. Mm-hmm. And we didn't think she would. And then Sheridan's like, well, but if you did know, would you have told me? And she's like, I don't know, maybe. And I do appreciate that. Delenn has done this a few times where she could lie and nothing stops her from lying. I'm aware Minbari aren't supposed to lie, but we see that they lie by omission all the time, and it's funny to see it. But I do love where she just, I don't know, maybe, and he gets upset and leaves. But yeah, so it's kind of another point that happens, future scene JMS talked about, is there's a point where Sheridan walks away from Delenn. It might be this scene, it might be a later one where he's not looking at her. because he's made his mind up. And I do think that's like the important thing going on. So he's dealing with a lot of emotions. He's putting a lot of stuff together in the background. His mind is still working on the strategy, but he is dealing with a lot of emotions, and he's doing his best to do them both at the same time.
Exactly. Like these first scenes are just him trying to get beyond that emotional part of him. It's almost, I call it the lizard brain every time. Like he just wants to be back with Anna the whole time, but his emotional, his rational side of his brain knows that's not true and is trying to pull that emotional side of him along to the right side of what's going on. And we're kind of seeing all that going on under the surface with Boxleitner's performance.
He does so great. And yeah, so many scenes he is basically playing with a person that is dealing with the biggest emotional hit or biggest revelation, because he's getting some revelation about the shadows in the near future, while also like planning something in the background and playing it so we buy it. Because, sometimes when movies do that, they're like, the whole time I was doing this, the heist one that we just saw with Jakar, that's 50-50 where you're like, all right, just to briefly stay there, like Lando gives a hologram of himself revealing the entire plan to the Narn. And you're like, so you're just planning. If this hadn't worked, you literally have a hologram of your name saying everything you did in the hands of your enemy. Mm-hmm. Maybe not the smartest plan, but it's so fun for dramatic effect. Speaking of Lando, we get the fun, what JMS calls the monkey paw scene, which is true. That is his character. Lando's character is a very real monkey paw victim. And what I love when we're talking about inserting a character in an existing story is like, he is aware. I do love that, right? What if our character was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but they knew the whole time? What if they were in Alien, but knew the whole time? Lando has a monkey paw situation where he has just been told this was a quiz question, right? He's getting placed on the royal court. He's ascending. He's 2 breaths away from the throne, which is what he's wanted his whole life. And Veer's there, and Lando is upset. I'm upset because I didn't get this when I wanted it, and now that I'm getting it, it's tainted, right? I didn't earn this. It's not how I wanted to get it. It's not when I wanted it. Now I want to just, hang out with strippers on Babylon 5, and I'm getting the dream I said I had 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting that JMS knew that structure really well. I think that's why Lando comes off as such a great character, because he has like a full-on 4-season arc. It's like towards the end of season 1, I think, when he makes like the one decision to like go with Morden and say, yes, do this thing to the Narn, we will go with you. And it's such a small scene, but that one scene opens up the one big monkey's paw for him, for his entire character, for the rest of the entire series, where he made this one bad decision to enlist the shadows through Morden, and almost immediately he regrets it and starts going against it, but his worst nature kind of always takes over, like we were talking over earlier for the previous episode, where he wanted to finally start doing some good for the Narn, but it's A, because it only helps Centauri and his plans get further, and B, he has to almost throw Veer under the bus to do it. So he's still slowly coming about this monkey's paw solution, like clawing his way out from this huge hole he dug himself on 3 seasons ago.
Absolutely love that. So we also get another fun part, which is a not Morden shows up. I love this. So Morden
was good. I like that they
this
put
was so good. This is great.
Just to juxtapose against Anna, what she's doing. So you have another actor who's like a thrall of the shadows to see how they...
And he shows up and he's just, hey, here's your drink. You should probably leave. And Lando's like, don't tell me what to do. He's like, I told you. So we have everything here, right? We've been told immediately the shadows are up to something. Why isn't Morden there? Morden would be the one that was telling him. Morden's not there. But the shadows are warning our shadow ally and Lando, hey, get off the station. Anna Sheridan's there. What is going on? I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and it's clear like next season where this is leading to, but they're still pushing him from behind the scenes to do what they want, even long after he has tried to get away from them too.
What is key, and we'll hear more about it in the near future, is they understand middle management entirely, which I love. We'll talk about much about that. Is like Lando, we need to keep under our control. Their thing is the shadows don't really build. They convince other people to do stuff. And so they're basically going, Lando's ours, we need him to stick around. Later, they're going to be saying something similar with Boxleitner. So yeah, we absolutely get that. Next scene, just wrapping up what we said, Franklin realizes that we had a previous thing where there are people that were shadow vessel pilots, right? They're organic engines in their ships. He goes, Anna's brain looks exactly like that. Uh-oh. What I said is I thought this was good, like rewarding the Lurker's Guide fans, because a new person might need to think for a second or two, but someone who's been looking at the Lurker's Guides and has the screenshot from a previous episode might be able to put it together. So that's rewarding your fans with a good moment.
Yeah, I thought that like the first time I saw that, I'm like, what is going on here? It is kind of a very big leap to show a picture of what they do is they say a medical scan of Anna and one of the telepaths who are operated on by the shadows, and shows that like the abrasion is in the same spot. And I don't think they ever showed that abrasion. They just talked about it before, which is why the first time I saw that, I made that notice, like, who is ever going to make that connection? Not knowing that it is going to be made clear later in the episode.
I loved it for two parts, where it's like rewarding fans that might be able to think it quick, and then he'll explain it, right? If he doesn't do anything with it, then we're screwed. If he comes back to it, we're great. So A+ on check out.
It works against me because I am not quick. If there's anything I am, it's not quick.
No, but that's why it works. And that's why it's good, right? I think that one was the right speed. When she's got some scarring and it might mean nothing. That one, I was like, okay, that's a little too slow and like too Encyclopedia Brown giving away the game. That scene I thought just played well and made sense, and it is going to come up later. The next scene is really great because Anna is going to basically give us, the audience, and any new viewer, the entire recap. And then it's also very rewarding because it ties together the big old story.
And this all comes about because Anna's still trying to convince Sheridan to go to Za'Ha'Dum. And then Sheridan says, I will only go if you tell me what is up. What's the history behind the shadows?
We finally get kind of the resolution on the whole Za'Ha'Dum story, because we've heard this big arc. Garibaldi was on a remote station and a shadow vessel got awakened and it got a huge cover up, and he happened to be in the area and he found a Psy-Corps like thing at the scene. That ship waking up, they put a tracker in it that went back to Za'Ha'Dum. That tracker is how the people on the Icarus knew to go to Za'Ha'Dum to look for shadows. The Icarus lands on Za'Ha'Dum. It wakes them up. They need help, right? Because they're just waking up. They can't let them leave because others will know. They need some of them. They're going to offer some of them, hey, work with us, which Morden and, Perfect Stranger agrees to. And then others we'll discover later don't agree. We'll talk about what happens to them. But some people agree to help them. They're trapped there. And what Anna says to try and convince Sheridan that this is all on the up and up is, you've been gone 5 years. Well, she's like, first off, time doesn't work the same there, right? I didn't even know how long I was gone. I only came out here to talk to you because, you're waging war on us. You don't realize we're good. So it's the same thing. She's like, the shadows, they're here to help. They have advanced technology. They want to help us. They're worried about you. They need me to convince you I'm here to help. I didn't know. They lied to you. We're going to get all this good stuff. And throughout all of it, you're like, your excuses seem a little flimsy, and I don't know if I believe you. And yeah, that's just how the scene plays. But it does also tie together the entire Za'Ha'Dum arc, which has been building for 2 years, which is awesome.
I don't buy anything she's saying to get him to go to Za'Ha'Dum. And I think that is definitely on purpose with JMS. Like, it's too far-fetched. She's saying, if you come to me to Za'Ha'Dum, we can save Earth and give you all this technology. And it's always put as this, all right, we'll do this, and then question mark, and then your problems are solved through technology. It's a false promise, a snake oil promise that she gives him to go to Za'Ha'Dum. And this is the scene where you can really see Box Leitner act the hell out of saying things one way to Anna, and then every time he looks at her, he's like smiling and doing this, like the same fake smile that she's giving. And as soon as she looks away, his face just falls, and like you can tell there's the wheels are all of a sudden turning, that he's got something else going on here.
Yeah, the next scene is Garibaldi and Sheridan talk to each other, and what I really like is he's going to do something that is obviously odd, and Garibaldi should be suspicious, and then we immediately jump from that. So at no point in this episode do we think a character has been duped or whatever. They all know what's up, and it's written really well. Because he goes to Garibaldi, he's like, hey, by the way, the White Star, still really odd that they're calling it the White Star, because we have seen a fleet, but we'll give it to you. Yeah. So the White Star, now that we're out in the open, the crew needs IDs. So they should all come on the station, get their IDs done. It should take a few hours, we'll be good. And Garibaldi's, that's weird, correctly so. And then Sheridan's, oh yeah, one more thing. And he's like, I need you to do something for me. And this was in the quiz, we've spoiled it, but yeah, he's asking Garibaldi, I need you to put some nukes on the White Star for me. No one else needs to know about it. And when you tell me it's done, you need to tell me in code. He taps him on the shoulder and he says, if everything's been done, the next time we talk, we'll talk about the weather. So what I did enjoy is like, he's trying to be duplicitous with Garibaldi. Garibaldi buys it for like 1 second. And then they very quickly get on the same page, like improv, right? Where he's, I get it. We can't speak openly. we're on the same page. And as you even noted, perfect juxtaposed in the shadow of Za'Ha'Dum, because Garibaldi and Sheridan, they trust each other now. They're on the same page, which lets us know, like, having Garibaldi be the one that does this is really good for, like, long-term fans of the payoff, because, like, we are not going to distrust Sheridan for the rest of the episode. If Garibaldi trusts him, we know whatever he's doing is right.
Yeah. There's two things about that, too. This is the last interaction they're going to have for quite a while. I mean, thinking ahead in the series to the next kind of interactions their characters are actually going to have in the fourth season. It's completely different, like how Garibaldi completely trusts Sheridan at this point. The second thing that's really interesting about this is that, similar to the Anna and Morden, like, pretending to be people, it's almost like they have this little pretending scene between them where it's a little bit odd. So it's going on all over the place. And even later, when we get to the whole Justin scene, Morden on Za'Ha'Dum, they're not laying their cards down. Everybody is being cagey with each other for this entire episode and not saying what you really mean. And JMS is using a lot of clues to clue the listener in as, like, all these people are being duplicitous, some for nefarious purposes, some to, for good purposes. But that's kind of the theme of this episode, is duplicity.
If you watch the episode again, whenever there is a shock, a twist, a reveal, the real question is, hey, if I watched it again, does it still hold up? And I think you're pointing out why it's so good. Is like, when we go back, every character's motivation, behavior is justifiable. We might have some little nits about how much is emotional, how much is real, but we agree for the whole part.
Yeah, this is truly the opposite of Grey 17 is missing, because A, everything adds up, and B, everything seems to be happening thematically for a reason.
Perfect. And then we do have, I was sad you didn't mention this initially, but I have to mention it. We get our last hide and kosh, because Sheridan's getting ready to go. He, like, records a message. He's putting a gun on him, maybe multiple guns. He looks at the mirror, and then in the mirror, he sees Kosh, who's dead, but Kosh shows up behind him and says, if you go to Za'Ha'Dum, you will die.
That's surprisingly spry alien in a tank suit.
Hiding Kosh, that's what Kosh does. He just shows up randomly and unexpected. We get one last hiding Kosh before Sheridan, heads out. We do get the weather talk with Garibaldi. Garibaldi admits that, hey, it's been done. Him and Sheridan get onto the White Star. We're going out. And then we do get wait, what? Because then this is where Franklin returns and says, wait, what? Sheridan left? What's going on? Ivana was like, yeah, he left with his wife. What's the big deal? I don't understand.
Not his wife.
I sent him his report. And just as a FYI, the three things we get is initial check-in with the doctor. Franklin's looking her over. We have Sheridan talking with Anna, and we see that there is a report, like an iPad, basically, with the same image that Franklin showed earlier in the background. And then now we get the final thing, which is Franklin saying, I don't understand, to Ivanova. I told him that she is clearly like a shadow pilot. So why would he go with her? Which, it's great. But then that also sets us up, because now we get an amazing scene. Sheridan and Anna are on, like, a road trip to Za'Ha'Dum together. And we're getting some more fill-in. Anna saying shadows don't like Vorlon technology.
Yeah, it's like JMS said that in one of the comments on Lurker's Guide, that he directed her that it hurts her to be on the ship because she's, part of the shadows. And I kind of didn't see it. It more just seemed like she was kind of cold.
What I said is, she actually has an explicit line while they're talking back and forth. Shadows don't like Vorlon technology. They think it can hurt them. So I said at the, show, don't tell versus the barely show, yell.
Yeah.
And so she is such a good actress, and she's like a voice actress too, where I think she might have been given that directive, and, she holds her arms a little where she looks uncomfortable. But of course, we have no reason to know if it's uncomfortable because of the ship or whatever. And I think I don't need to overplay that I'm uncomfortable on the ship, because I literally have a line saying why I'm uncomfortable on the ship.
Because she's already playing kind of an alien body snatcher type at the time. You could either take that a step further, because everything she's doing already seems off. It's almost like you had to push into that more, or, like you're saying, just let the line sit as it is.
And it's a super minor. At this point, we're getting to super minor, which I'm more than fine. Like on episode,
I will get into the stuff that bothers me, because hardly ever things.
And I much prefer this, where we're like, this is where we're at. But then we do get to Za'Ha'Dum. He gets to Za'Ha'Dum. She's, hey, we're going to need your gun. Behind the scenes, by the way, JMS said that he suspected they would have monitors for weapons, so she knows he has a gun on him. But they're like minor. So he's got a second gun hidden, which we did see happen, and we'll see again. Check out second gun. But, it's a super minor one. So it's, we have multiple things like they do have security, and the logic in this episode about how Sheridan's going to get around the security does line up. They start walking, and Sheridan tries to go in a door almost stupidly. And Anna's not that door, this door. And JMS said that was a, paths diverge in a wood, Robert Frost metaphor, where like these tiny chances, because we're at the moment where Sheridan is making the choice, right? Go to Za'Ha'Dum or not. And it makes all the difference, but they look the same. Yeah.
They could have left that one out. That one didn't
I don't think it was needed. Yeah. When he's explaining the security and the other things, I'm like, you got me. And then other things I'm like, on the nose, but I agree, like the Icarus. And this one I'm like, yeah. Okay, so we walk in and Morden's there. We know it's so good because it's not a real trap yet, but we know it's a trap.
But
right?
as soon as Morden's there, you know that they're like, yep, it was a trap the whole time. I was right. Sheridan must be thinking.
And Justin is we also have some really established actors. I want to make sure I get his name. But Justin is a really established actor. This is one of his last roles. And not only that, he was at the time a really prominent acting coach. So the key about this episode that I think also elevates it is Melissa Gilbert, who is, working for scale because she's married to the lead. Yeah. And Justin is played by Jeff Corey. And Jeff Corey was, a major acting coach, 242 credits. So this episode, I think, is also elevated by the fact that it has some really established actors in really important roles.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to find out is Justin is like this old guy, and he's like, hey, we all work for the Shadows. We want you to work for us. And they get to explain their philosophy.
It's one huge talky scene where you get the two main characters kind of like spouting their philosophy at each other, but it doesn't come across as expository as it does a lot of times too, because there's some real conflict there because you don't know, that Sheridan has this plot set up. He has the gun set up some way. You just don't know where it's coming from at this point.
And so what we get Justin explains that the Shadows are basically a middleman, which is what I love. The first introduction we get to Morden and the Shadows is Signs of Importance. And in that episode, Mr. Morden does this weird like mind control thing where he talks to all the major races and he keeps asking, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Mm-hmm. And eventually they give in and they all kind of agree. And what we get, one of our most poignant scenes, is he's talking to the Narn and the Centauri, are the two like finalists for what do you want? Who's going to get their cursed paw monkey wish? And he talks to them both, and they're both like, I want the good old days. But when he's talking to Jakar of the Narn, he's like, what do you want? He's, I want my enemies burnt to dust and crushed. And it's a great scene. And Andreas Katsoulis just is an amazing actor. And he gets the end, he's like, okay, you get all that. Then what? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, that happens. We're good. I just go home and play cricket. He talks to, Lando, and Lando's, I want to go back to the glory days. I want everything. I want the whole universe. I want it all. You win. Now in this scene, Sheridan sees him and goes, who are you? And Justin's, you don't need to ask that. And he keeps going, who are you? Who are you? And Justin eventually gives this nice Illuminati thing. Who controls everything? That's us. We're the middleman. And what I loved,
I had to rewatch it before you go on to that point, because this is kind of comes first. I loved how visibly disturbed Justin was. The actor that played him did a brilliant job at that, because as soon as he says, who are you, as opposed to what do you want, which is the Shadow question, who are you is the Vorlon question, it's like Justin can't deal with that and shoves it off sometime. And I really enjoy how like it completely threw off Justin at a point where he's, all right, I'm about to give my big speech for you as that'll take you to our side. And that one question, because it's such a central part of Babylon 5, has to throw him off a little bit.
And then what I love, right, it is the same ending, in my opinion, as Jakar, where Morden is also going to have a nice spiel. We have multiple spiels. So Justin gets the spiel. Who controls everything? Who controls the British crown? We do.
The British crown. Who thinks to this down? We do.
And if that Simpsons reference falls flat, people, I'm sorry, but look up Simpsons Illuminati. And then Morden explains like the Shadows.
Stonecutters. Simpsons Stonecutters.
And then Morden explains that the Shadows philosophy is like exactly what Anna said. We have all this advanced technology. We're going to give it to you, but we're going to give it to you by, the really mean boomerish parent. We're going to make you suffer to earn the thing, right? So that's their philosophy. We're going to make you better by knocking you over, by making you get back up. We control everything. But then when Sheridan's, who are you? They're like, we're middlemen. And so it's like, yeah, you don't do anything, right? That's that to me was the huge thing, is exactly what you said, where the shadows were the big bad and they get relegated, because when you actually strip away the shadows, you realize they don't do anything, right? Other people are doing stuff. They're kind of taking the credit. And I do love that, right? This episode is going to relegate shadows to second-class villainry for the next season for important reasons, which I really loved. So we do get the end. They're all stupid because Sheridan during this entire talk is very clearly going for his leg harness, where he's hidden his second gun. And then the key point, like you were kind of saying, is they note the shadows being middleman, same with Lando, right? We need to protect him. He's like, why don't you just kill me? Or why don't you just end Babylon 5? And they're like, no, if we kill you, your message stays alive. We want you under our control, because if you go back and tell everybody, hey, I was wrong, or the shadows are our friend, they'll listen to you. If we kill you, your message of we all need to unite to fight the shadows is going to live on. This one plays right. Gray 17, the horror did not play, but this one, the door slides open, a shadow starts creeping in. He pulls his gun holster out, points straight at camera, great imagery, shoots the shadow and runs off, and just so good. And then what we get is, it's hard to put these two together, right? Because what we got is, he sent a message to Len that she's going to start listening to, and they're going to intercut it with Sheridan running away. And of course, we as the audience know this can't be happening at the same time, but thematically it works.
Yeah, because you get that whole him following up and finishing the speech he had with Delenn earlier in the episode. It's like all the stuff he kind of wanted to say to her, but was still working out all of his feelings and confusions about Anna coming back, is that, yes, Delenn, I know everything that's really going on. You're the one that I really love, but I have to do this to stop the shadows and go to Za'Ha'Dum, despite what you've said before.
And we do get also, like, Justin does do the reveal, because Sheridan's, that's not my wife. And he's, you got us. And it is worth this. I've thought about this a lot after the fact. Babylon 5 is a terrifying universe because we have telepaths. We have the death of personality, which is a mainstream thing, which is if someone gets the death penalty on Earth, they don't die. Their memory gets erased. They get a new personality. They get sent somewhere out into space. That is in canon. So if you are traveling around the universe, any human you run into could potentially not be the original person. That's a rewipe. We got Talia Winters was written off the show in a very similar way, which is she, as a powerful telepath, had her mind implanted with a sleeper agent that was able to come out and take over her at any given point. And Sheridan's having this exact same thing where his wife shows up and it's, oh yeah, no human in the Babylon 5 universe is necessarily who they are saying they are being, even if they are like that person, right? There could be a sleeper agent, someone controlling them, and that's what we get the reveal is Anna Sheridan did say no to the shadows, and so what they did is they said, fine, we'll just throw you in one of our ships, you'll be a CPU, very Matrix-like, and part of that is erasing the original personality. So she definitely isn't it. That's why she has been off the whole time. So he's running away, right? We got the body snatcher scene. He's running away from the body snatchers. He's running away from the shadows.
Yep.
At the same time that's going on, Delenn is listening to a message from him. I'll just kind of try and recap that all because I'm not going to be able to.
It all goes together because we have the other scene we're at where the shadows are appearing, uncloaking at Babylon 5 to intimidate them as well.
Yep. So that's what makes this great, this nice crescendo. The shadows are coming to Babylon 5. We get a nice organic method of coming back to Jakar and Ivanova because you just gave us all of those nukes. Can we use them against the shadows? And he's first off, no, you just nuke the station. He gives away. He's like, at that range, if you were to use that nuke, it would get rid of the entire station. It's, oh, interesting. And by the way, 2 of them are missing. So everything ties together. Delenn is watching a message that basically has Sheridan say, it is hilarious. And JMS in the commentary said he overthought it, but I love it. He goes, hey, when we were doing our mission and I went forward in time, I saw Centauri Prime and it was on fire. And you told me not to go to Za'Ha'Dum. And he's, what if by going to Za'Ha'Dum, I could have my cake and eat it too? We could end the Shadow War. I could do everything. And he basically does admit, I know this is a trap. I know it's probably the wrong decision, but I have to do it.
Think about that from how it happens. He goes into the future. He sees a version of Delenn in the future that tells him not to go to Za'Ha'Dum, which means he did go to Za'Ha'Dum and things went bad. In this case, he does go to Za'Ha'Dum, but as we know, things work out over time. It's almost like they have this weird branching timeline thing and just didn't really talk about it too much. He just kind of let it sit as that's just something that happened. Because
I do. Exactly what you're saying. I do love that no one knows 100% because he's like, what if I don't go and do? And we can reveal it's all one timeline. It's heartbreaking for Delenn because Delenn knows that she has to tell him that so that he'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
So like all this funny stuff, just funny stuff. But he's being the hero. He's going, I am giving up what I want to do the right thing, even though I probably will fail. Contrast that with Lando. Even when Lando does the right thing, he does it the wrong way. Sheridan is like, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to do it in spite of the consequences. I'm going to do it in spite of what I want. That's what makes him a hero. Delenn is really sad. The shadows are there. Sheridan is cornered on Za'Ha'Dum. His face has gotten bloody. We'll give it to you. We don't know how it got bloody, but he goes to the end of this cliff. He sees Za'Ha'Dum. This is one of those where it was probably really cool at the time. The CGI, it doesn't age great, but we do see this alien planet he's looking out over. All of the body snatcher people are closing in on him. The shadows are closing in on him. He taps his watch. He looks up in the air, sees this dome, and he taps his communicator a few times.
Yeah.
Only minor thing, and I put in the notes, I could have written around this if need be. He's contacting the White Star. I'm like, wait a minute, shouldn't he be getting jammed? Because the shadows are jamming Babylon 5. Shouldn't they have taken that from him? We'll give it to you.
It's got to happen somehow, yeah.
Yeah, he powers up the White Star, and our first thought, if you've been paying attention, it's not your first thought, but you could give the first thought, is he going to try and escape? Powers up the White Star. He's standing there, and is like, your wife is gone, but I can be just as good. You can still, join us, rule the galaxy, Darth Vader moment. Kosh's voice pops in his head. It says, jump now. He looks around, decides to jump. The White Star, like I said, warp speed 9 or whatever, comes in with the nukes. I got to ask about this. How did this play to you, Mike? Anna's scream, like it or not?
Oh, I mean, I love this scene. This was good. Yeah. I mean, the one big thing I thought was like, with the jumping, it brought me back to the season 2 closer, where we have another scene where Sheridan has to take a giant leap of faith. Like in that case, though, it was because there was a bomb on the train and he had to jump knowing he would die. And and almost the same exact thing in this episode, he has to take a jump knowing that, not knowing if he's going to live or die at the moment. And I really liked how those scenes kind of played together, almost like JMS was really setting up that he could do this as almost a trope, except this time we know that there's no Kosh to come in, jump in and save him.
Ish, though, because we hear Kosh's voice, though. So like
we do, but we don't have a physical Kosh. We already know that, like, he's been explained to that Kosh has inserted a piece of his personality into him because that's how Vorlons kind of see things across the universe, is by inserting themselves into people. So there's no longer a physical, real Kosh to save him. This time it has to be a real leap of faith, which I thought brought a lot more to why he does it this time.
And I wonder if they'll explain the importance of Za'Ha'Dum and jumping in season 4. Tune into next season, and you got to check this out to find out more. But just an absolute great end. We get a common thing that has been happening. We mentioned on a previous episode where Ivanova goes out is a command staff person goes where they shouldn't. So Garibaldi, as the shadows are coming, they're like, scramble the fighters. And it's cute. I thought it was funny where they're like, defend against the shadows. It's like, it took everybody to take them all out. Your defenses aren't going to do it, but what else are you going to do? Mm-hmm. So, but Garibaldi goes out with one of the squadrons. So Garibaldi goes out with the troops, but after Za'Ha'Dum's destroyed, the vessels disappear. This makes complete sense, right? They're just, excuse me, tell us what to do. Has he agreed? Wait, what's going on, command? So they all disappear. They're running back to Za'Ha'Dum. And we will actually see him, I believe, at the end of the episode. Those same vessels are going to be like looking at the wreckage of Za'Ha'Dum, which has been nuked to hell. Shadows disappear. Ivanova starts crying. And JMS, and this is explicit, she's partly telepathic. And she can probably have felt like something major just happened. So she's like sensing that something has happened. Corwin reveals we don't have contact with the White Star anymore. Also, Garibaldi is missing. So like, amazing end to just get like the full thing. Like, the planet's destroyed, but also all these side plots wrap up simultaneously as well, where we go back to Babylon 5. We're like, Garibaldi's gone. They all know Sheridan's dead. How's everybody feeling?
Yeah. And then at this point, like they kind of just wrap it up really quick because that's the end of it. And they have the speech that Jakar gives over it, just kind of like, putting a bow on things, talking about there's a greater darkness than the one we fight. There's a darkness of the soul. It's perfect to give Jakar those lines because he's becoming more and more of the prophet as the series goes on. But it really leaves you hanging because this huge thing, like the main bads of the entire series just got their planet practically exploded or at least decimated. And it leaves you thinking we're supposed to be 2 more seasons of this thing. Where else are we going to go from here? I think it's a perfect setup to just leave you open like that.
Yeah. And I mean, we've kind of talked this where the end shows on a cliffhanger is nothing new. But what made this one absolutely amazing is it's a chapter. It's not a cliffhanger in that tune in to find out what happens. It's tune in to see the next chapter. This chapter has wrapped. Za'Ha'Dum is wrapped up. Yeah. And that was really different for TV, right? Because the previous, a Star Trek, a normal show would absolutely have done, I can still love you as much as whatever. He presses the button to be continued, right? Because we're like, nope, we'll tell you what happened.
Yep.
But then you're going to have to ask about the fallout of that next season. And the 2 tropes we've had 2 seasons in a row, and we probably would have had 3, but we'll have to discuss that in season 4 talk, is we have Sheridan making a major leap, and we have a main character doing a wrap-up. It was the end of Earth year, and that has happened all 3 seasons. And this time it is Jakar, and he talks a lot about hope, and this is the major thing. This has been a major through line because we managed to not talk a lot of politics this episode. It's one of the few episodes of Babylon 5 where we haven't talked modern-day politics. But a major theme JMS likes in his work is they want you to give up hope. They want you to believe there is no hope, but that you can always fight, right? And that's like Sheridan's character. And so that is what Jakar is saying. We've been going through all of this, and like the major thing that hit us was like the death of hope, and are we going to be able to overcome that? And what's season 4 going to be all about?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Not only did it really wrap up it made you felt like you got a good ending to a 3-season long arc, but it also sets up the 3 main character arcs for the next season, where we're going to get Lando going back to Centauri Prime to deal with politics there. We got Garibaldi is missing, as they mentioned at the end, and we got Sheridan is dead, but I mean, both of them are still in the opening credits, so we know that there's something going to go on with those characters. So I think, yeah, this is the best season finale out of all of them that JMS did, even better than like the 4th season where it's really triumphant kind of ending almost to a lot even more arcs. I really like how this both ended the arcs and set everything else up, wanting you to come back for more.
We'll talk a lot about season 4, and yeah, this is the best season finale. JMS was like, it's him at the top of his game,
yeah,
with full support from creative, right? And I think that is the key. So this was an amazing episode.
And I will give the spoiler that season 4 is just amazing. Like, he really took it. That's the reason why I became a Babylon 5. Like, I'd say I'm a fan of the series, is because of what JMS did after this through season 4 and made the series about.
Absolutely. And let's see. So, Mike, I'm going to say, just if we're, I don't know how much time, but just a quick recap. I loved this season, and I was shocked. We had some amazing guests, and I was pleasantly surprised by some of the guest responses. Just to give it away, like on season 1 and 2, I was expecting our guests to maybe be a little less kind to the show. And then come season 3, I was expecting a lot more. And I've just been absolutely thrilled going over this season and talking.
It's the opposite. And I actually wanted to get into this.
Okay, take it, Mike.
It's one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this episode with just you and me without a guest. We're at this point where, whereas like someone who's been watching Babylon 5 for years and have seen the series several times over is going to tell you that, yeah, the real meat is in like towards the end of season 3 where you get into season 4, and that's the big thing. It is so dense. Everything in this episode, like, we've been talking about how knowing how like Sheridan's what's happened in his past has informed everything he's talking about with the Len. You have to really know his history with Anna and what he did in the Shadow of Za'Ha'Dum episode, how far he was willing to go. Everything he did in that episode informs this episode, which is really why I included the quiz at the top, to get that into our minds, because you need to have a lot of this multiple setup. A lot of these season 3 and season 4 episodes don't mean anything without that context. And by bringing guests in, we are really performing an experiment to see, can we bring somebody into this show that we love? And at what points are they going to be lost by just coming in later? And I really think that in season 4, we're going to keep seeing that. People saying, I don't get it. It's because they don't have the background. Whereas the guests we had on in season 1 and 2 could come into almost any episode as just like a regular TV series, and it's much easier to explain what's going on without all the baggage that's been going on. And I think we're going to keep finding that as we finish up this season.
No, I agree with that. I think, yeah, like I said, it does absolutely show where you go, the reason this scene paid off is because there was buildup to it. And if you don't get the buildup, it's not as impactful. The hard one for me was, if we're doing like a, fond memories of season 3, was the MVB episode where a thing I love about JMS is his ability as a writer and his ability to make things just so clean. And this episode is a great example of it. And it did make me a little sad in Severed Dreams, where I went, oh, he did rely on some of those old tricks, right? Where you can poke at the seams and go, oh, there's a dove up the magician's sleeve or whatever, right? Or I could see it if I looked again. But even that is fine, right? Like, to that exact point, that to me is still fun, because if I'm saying this guy's a magician, he doesn't make mistakes. And someone's like, what about this mistake? I'm like, oh yeah, that's fun to think about, right? This one I had the flip side, right? Where I had never thought about the who are you juxtaposing to what do you want in Signs Importance. That played off well. So I'll be really curious to see on season 4, because I do think there are some like TV movie ones that we have. We got some amazing guests settled up for that. Mike, any other thoughts on season 3 before we get into what we should be checking out?
I really enjoyed how they got out of the usual trap of having the Messiah figure be really important and the martyr figure, because they talked deeply about why they didn't want to kill them and why they couldn't kill Sheridan just to solve the problem. Because that's the first thing any viewer would see. It's, your problem is with this guy leader. Why don't you just take him out and let everything fizzle around? I think JMS did a really good job in that particular scene explaining why they didn't want to make a martyr out of him, because they mentioned that there's certain like historical figures that come every once in a while that are able to bring together all these forces against the shadows. And the way that JMS explained that, I thought like really came together for me, as opposed to just being like a hand wavy thing of, no, we just got to plot, get him to the surface and talk to him for a while.
What I love is I'm able to do this with zero spoilers. This is all stuff from the episode. In talking with Anna, she basically says the Vorlons and the shadows are in competition. And at one point it was like 50-50. And we don't know who to trust. We don't know if we trust the Vorlons or the shadows. That's in this episode. But at one point, they stopped doing that, right? You had two people, you stand your side, I stand my side, and then they're, breaching each other's territory, right? The Earth was ours, but the Vorlons went there. The Vorlons are going to say, this was ours. But, we saw Kosh do that earlier in the season where he tells Morden to leave them, they're not for you. So, right, we clearly see that the Vorlons and the shadows are competing some way. They're the two oldest races, and we've been told this. We are told when we meet the shadows, we're like, why don't you blow us up? And they admit, we have controlled chaos. We are doing this for a reason. Every 2,000 years, we come around and we stick to our rules. So to your exact point, I really enjoyed that as well, because a lot of times you watch these movies, the Scott Evil scene, right? I got a gun. Why don't we just kill him? You said that, right? Yep. They're going like,
we got Epsilon 3. Why don't we just use it?
Yeah. If I come up to you while you're playing a board game, I'm like, why don't you just steal all your son's money in Monopoly? And you're like, they're rules. Like it's like, this isn't me trying to prove that I can, beat my child in a game. It's us playing a game with rules. And so this episode, I like as a nice end, if we're even talking tent building, in spite of all this action, it does build a very important thing that is going to answer the question all of us had in our head, where we're going, they just won a major battle, but they told us they're getting screwed. The shadows could take them out at any time. What's going on? And we're told, the shadows are playing a game of some sort. We are told that in this episode. And in theory, right before the end of this episode, Sheridan is the person that always figures out a way around the rules, like he did this episode, except, oh no, he's dead. So what's going to happen now? Anyway.
Yeah, we've had that set up because Sheridan, like his character from the start, was the one guy who figured out how to make the maneuver against the Minbari in the Minbari War. So we know that he has this tactical mind, and I like that JMS consistently find ways to show that and not just say that, hey, he's this tactical mind, just accept it and move on.
End of season 2, the season 2 finale, Garibaldi and Ivanova talk to each other, and Garibaldi's like, here's the thing, Sheridan's great, isn't he great? He's great. And that's that. This one, Sheridan is given a puzzle and he solves it. So yeah, just that change has been huge, and I'm digging it. Okay, Mike, sorry, I've kept you long. This has been a big blast.
No, we got to ask each other, since we don't have a guest, I have to ask you, Dre. What would you like our guest to check out that's not Babylon 5?
Anything to check out that is not Babylon 5.
Off the top of my head, I've been going back and rereading some of Jason Pargin's novels. So I'm saying if anybody who's listening to this probably already knows about, David Wong, who's now writing under his real name, Jason Pargin. I would say his best novel is if you're seeing this book, you're in the wrong universe. It's amazing. It's the 4th book in the John Dies at the End series, and you don't have to read any of the previous novels to get it. I always recommend it to people. Imagine if it was a Ghostbusters, except for Cthulhu-like beings that enter our universe that they deal with. It's got all the humor, all the science fiction, all the horror, and just all of the great themes and heady writing that you'd expect. That just goes down smooth because it's so fun. So yeah, check out anything by Jason Pargin. I can highly recommend any of his novels.
Here are my 2 lame ones, Mike. So I'm going to do Nerd. I'm going to say you need to check out Nerd, the episode on National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation on the season of movies I should have seen. The reason I'm really excited is someone sent me something in the mail, Mike Slater, and I can't do this organically enough, but I was going to start joking about your name. The other thing I'm going to say you need to check out is Gamefully Unemployed, particularly Hypecast. This is one of my favorite podcasts out there. It's one that when I got super busy, I was starting to just drop because they do movie trailers and stuff. Okay. Anyway, yeah, definitely check out that. Gamefully Unemployed, Dave Bell. Like I said, amazing past guests that if you're listening to us but not them, hopefully the last episode convinced you to listen to them. Yeah, sorry to be boring, Mike, but I'm actually getting back into being able to listen to podcasts I enjoy because so much has been going on. So my advice might be boring, but that's what I got.
Yep. You've been through a move. You've been through a lot of stuff recently. Your life is just coming back into some semblance of normalcy these days.
I get to watch Babylon 5, season 4. I'm so excited for it.
Cool. All right. I think that ends up everything here. Anything else we got to say to our listeners for today?
Happy holidays, everyone. This releases after holidays, doesn't it?
Yeah. Happy holidays, whatever holiday it is.
Hope your holidays went well, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, and keep on. We got at least one more season of Babylon 5, maybe 2.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing season 4 of Babylon 5, episode 1 and 2. We're going to do a 2-part episode similar how we did with War Without End, but we have 2 very special guests planned. I'm not going to spoil it right now in case something happens between now and then, but that should be a really special episode. And
we're actually starting a season on the first episodes in the season of First, so you got to check this out. So can't wait to see you all then.
All right. Thanks a lot. Cheers, all.